Alright, we have green bars, we have live counter ticking up, and that means welcome everyone to the Storytime Network, where Mill is taking a well-deserved day off today, so it's just me and Jack as we yap over Nubby's Number Factory.
Indubitably.
So yes, this is basically Peggle meets Balatro, but there's, like, some illicit substances involved. So I'm just gonna, like...
Huh? No.
I'm just gonna play, the basic game mode with the basic operator and just...
Go.
Yeah, so yes. I will be relying on Jack to lead the conversation to a large extent, mainly because this is one of those games that seems like tailor-made for neurodivergent individuals to get lost in.
I was gonna say, this does seem to be one of those eclectic games that just seems to fit your vibe.
It's like very much in that realm, yes.
Hey, nothing wrong with liking something eclectic and funky and weird.
I wouldn't even say it's because of that. It's a fun game to play because it's like, look, you just ball bounces, numbers go up.
Number go up.
Yeah.
Number go up.
Yeah. So like it just tickles the brain. It's like it's basically just designed to be a dopamine delivery system.
Mm-hmm. Also has a very retro look to it.
Retro and something else, if you know what I'm saying.
I wasn't gonna say it.
You basically don't have to say it. It is known. But yeah, I found that these games are a lot more relaxing for me to play. Like, it's very much one of those turn your brain off games in, like, the best way possible. Because, like, sometimes you just don't want to think, right? Like, sometimes you're too... like, when life is a lot of thinking, sometimes it's just nice to be able to play something that doesn't really require that. You just click the buttons and the number goes up.
Yeah, no, it's nice to do something a bit more mindless and fun. Sometimes it's hard finding a game that one of those types of games that works for you, though, you know?
It's also that some people, like, I remember, this is definitely something that Mill mentioned in a lot of our conversations, that he likes having, like, a sense of tangible progress. And so roguelites are hard for him because, you know, you have to start over every time you boot up the game. Right? Because, like, the point of a roguelite is, well, each run is just a run. And once the run's over, you just start over. Right? And for some people, that's really hard. Like, with Mill has expressed that he just has a really hard time doing that.
Which, you know, understandable, and to each their own.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with either approach. It's just I personally have actually had the opposite issue. Is like progression gives me anxiety to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I get what you're saying. Meanwhile, I like games that are a lot more narrative driven overall. But I do occasionally like games that are more like just like fun gameplay loop.
And the thing, like, so what I mean by the progression thing is, like, even in a narrative game where I really enjoy the narrative, sometimes just the fact that there's a narrative almost feels like more pressure. And again, I know games are supposed to be for fun, but, like, there's a reason anxiety is a disorder and not just a quirky little eccentricity. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes you just get anxious over things that really should not be making you anxious, but, like, that's just how the old mental illness train goes.
It do be like that sometimes. Also, it is funny to me that the doubling tiles make it reminiscent of 2048 to my recollection.
Well, yeah, actually when I was it's funny you should mention that, because I was playing this game and I had my oh no, it's Dave. Should I consume Dave?
No. Too much of a gamble.
Well,
see.
In hindsight, should have probably bought some more items before I did that, huh?
Yes, absolutely.
But like,
Fuzzy, this is why I don't think either of us should ever gamble.
No, I am well aware that I have an addictive personality and, like, would probably develop gambling issues. Believe me, I know. I have never been to a casino, and I do not plan on changing that fact.
I have been to a casino once, and it was one of those casinos that's on a reservation. It was also a case of I had a set amount of money that I could gamble with, and I did come out with less than I started, but I didn't lose everything. But also that was because I deliberately restrained myself.
Yeah, and well, at the very least, that means we do have some hope, because if nothing else, it means we have that level of restraint. Not everyone is that lucky.
God.
Because, like, there's some people who just cannot restrain themselves.
Mm-hmm. And usually that's just a symptom of, like, an outright addiction in those people.
Well, no, it's like... Oh, the sun has exploded.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely have the sort of personality that would make me a prime target for gambling addiction. However, I do have one advantage. I don't know if I've told the story on stream before. Knowing me, I probably have. But, one thing that I got inoculated against gachas very early. And when I say early, I mean very early. Did I tell the story?
You might have. I don't recall though.
So basically, the first gacha I ever played, and this is because I'm a boomer, obviously, because I'm old and busted.
You're younger than I am.
Well, let's just pretend that you're... Look,
okay.
We're both old, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Neither of us are exactly young pups anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the first gacha I ever played was Final Fantasy Record Keeper, which I don't even know if it still exists anymore, because I'm pretty sure it's been replaced by Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. But I was like, okay, so this is a really cool game. It involves, like, various Final Fantasies in, like, a way that makes sense in the plot. It's cool, I like it. And then I was like, oh, so you gain equipment by, like, doing these draws. And I was like, oh, okay, I did my free draws, and all of the stuff I got was garbage and literally worse than my starting equipment. So, you know what, I'll put, like, $5 into it. What I drew was still garbage that was worse than my starting equipment, and that immediately soured me on the experience from the paid draws. And so I was like, you know what? No, I don't think I will. And that has saved my life, I think, because that was before the widespread proliferation of gacha. And by being inoculated that early on, I think I've just, sort of never really gone back to the gacha hole.
It's definitely to anyone's benefit to not fall down that fucking rabbit hole.
Look, the gacha hole is a hell of a drug.
Yep.
And, it used to be that, it's actually, like, a great tragedy in the sense that it used to be that people with latent... I've never had this before. Oh, wow. It used to be that the gacha hole or that gambling addictions would go untriggered in a lot of people simply by virtue of the fact that it required actually going to a casino to gamble.
Mm-hmm.
But now, with the proliferation of gacha games and the understanding of, developers of toxic business practices, you don't have to go to a casino to develop a gambling addiction anymore. You just need a phone.
Yep.
And that is really not great for society as a whole, I think.
No, it is absolutely not.
But yeah, it's one of those things where I recognize this, and I am thankful I got inoculated early, because I'm pretty sure I would be one of those people who has sunk, like, literally thousands of dollars into, like, I don't know, Genshin Impact or something.
I'm glad I only ever got addicted to, like, one gacha, like, on a consistent basis. I mean, that's due in part to several of the gachas I did play besides FGO just shutting the fuck down. But, yeah, no, still a fucking rabbit hole and a half.
Yeah, whenever you, basically have to, like, acknowledge that, okay, I really enjoy this and the stuff is really cool, but the only way I can actually progress and have, like, the fun that I want with it is by paying money, that's when you realize, oh, this maybe is not great, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I'm not... That's not to say that I don't have other vices which are possibly just as bad. I am...
No one's too mad about it, I don't think.
What?
No one's reason is too mad about people having their own pet vices.
Yeah, so in my case, it's probably like MMOs. Granted, I haven't played one in a while, but that's not because of lack of desire. It's more recently, it's just been a lack of time, actually.
Ah, yes, the greatest enemy that the world has ever known. Limited
Adulting.
time. Yes.
Like, I know people make fun of the phrase now, because it's been, like, it's one of those things that has been sort of declaimed, almost. You know how certain phrases are reclaimed? It almost feels like the term adulting has been declaimed by millennials and Gen Z alike. But it is like I do think it's a phrase with, or it's a term with value.
Yep.
Like, I was talking to, I was talking to my mother about this the other day. I was like, I told her, could you remind me that I have an appointment tomorrow? And she got, like, nervous for a second because she's like, what, wait, you have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, or like an official thing? Why didn't I usually have these things on my calendar, why didn't I know about this? And I was like, no, I have an appointment with my friend tomorrow to chat. And she laughed about it. And I had to explain to her, oh, this was not referring to this, by the way. It was referring to yesterday. So the conversation happened the day before yesterday, and I mentioned it to my mother yesterday.
Yeah.
But basically, I was like, yeah. So in the modern era, I actually have to, like, it's too difficult for people to actually get in touch with each other on a consistent basis and actually talk to each other.
Especially when everyone involved has, adult schedules that don't
A
line
life,
up
a job, everything along those lines.
Yeah. Maintaining a social life is really fucking difficult.
And so
Like,
when you
even
get to
optimally.
yeah, so it's just like, oh, I guess. So yeah, and you can't just chat with your friends anymore when you become an adult, at least in the modern era. You basically have to hope that your schedules line up, and if they don't, then you have to literally make an appointment, which is just not fun, like by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
And it's just like, and I saw, again, because I have a tendency to doom scroll on Reddit far too much than is healthy, far more than is healthy. I saw something where, in the past, things like household consisting of just two people, like two childless individuals, was at one point considered like a luxury sort of thing, but now it's almost necessary for survival. Like you just like two people both working is now just something you need to survive, fundamentally.
Yeah, unless one or both people, unless someone is making like a pretty consistent high 5-figure, low 6-figure salary, they're going to need help with any kind of living situation that isn't, a fucking whatchamacallit, a studio apartment. Or like
even that, depending on where you live, even a studio apartment might be beyond affording.
Yeah, no, like New York City, for example.
So yeah, it's just we have reached that point in society where it's just like what was once considered a luxury is now basically a mandatory for survival.
Yep.
But yes, I'm sure you can see how this game is just designed to pump dopamine straight into your veins.
Yep.
Between the soundtrack and the, like, once you get a run going. Things just start happening and you're just like, I enjoy this because I'm receiving large quantities and qualities of dopamine. Also, there were definitely illicit narcotics involved in the production of this game.
Probably. Don't mind a judge, though.
Well, to be fair, though, I say that as a joke, but at the same time, that is actually one of my bigger pet peeves. And I've talked about this before. Do you remember that particular conversation?
Vaguely. It's been a minute.
Basically, I'm of the opinion that being creative on drugs is basically the same as performance enhancers in sports.
I mean, Stephen King was able to pump out like a crazy number of books in I think it was the 80s when he was on that massive cocaine bender.
Mm-hmm. He does not have any memory of writing Cujo.
Mm-hmm. Which is pretty insane, honestly.
Like, I wish I was that kind of artist. Because, like, I'm gonna be real with you. I feel like if I did have that capacity to just produce massive amounts on, like, if I was just on drugs, I would be on a lot of drugs, Jack.
Mm-hmm. I cannot blame you. I may or may not be thinking along similar lines.
Oh, come on.
Look, given my current job, I can't...
No, that was not referring to you. It's because I I consumed Dave again, and he once again stole all my money.
I told you that it's not a worthwhile gamble.
It's a 50-50!
Mm-hmm.
Just because I lost the coin flip twice in a row, look, I'm due! That's not gambler's fallacy at all.
That's not how it works, and you know it.
But yes, no, I'm of the opinion, like, if I thought that it would actually help, I would absolutely be looking into finding my nearest cocaine dealer. Sadly, I'm pretty sure that's not just, I don't think I can...
Cocaine is what's colloquially referred to as the rich man's drug. And for good reason.
It is expensive, yes, but I'm like, if I can get enough, like, quantity of, writing out there, I could probably make it back eventually.
Do you really want to gamble on that?
Well, also, first of all, remember, I have explicitly stated I'm not going to do that because I don't believe the drugs would actually even work for me. But even if they did, I wouldn't, because I'm like, it's just not worth the risk.
I mean, yes.
But the reason I bring up the drugs in the first place... no. What I was gonna say is, like, that said, it's not like there aren't more scummy and less, let's say, more creatively bankrupt ways of, making the money back.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that, there's a lot of slop out there that if you put out enough volume of slop, you will eventually reach the point where the slop is
profitable.
Profitable, yes.
The issue is, it's still all slop, so it's still not worthwhile.
Exactly. So it's like,
I will never understand people who claim to be creatives and then just say, oh yeah, I'm using AI to do this. Like, then you're not a creative. Get the fuck out of here, poser.
Yeah, it's but I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about just, like, putting out novels that are... Listen, I'm talking about the Kindle Unlimited Lit RPG industry, okay?
Oh yeah, the dumb, yeah.
Where it's just like, eventually, you will just put out enough sheer quantity of slop that is just formulaic and by the numbers that people will just eat it all up.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be enough. And also, did you know there's quite a market for, custom-written erotica?
I'm not surprised.
Where you can, like, there's a lot of people who have very, very specific tastes, if you know what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
Like, tastes that are specific enough that they don't necessarily, have easy access to them. But the issue with that is that, assuming you only cater to the ones that are not, like, morally objectionable, because I'm sure you can imagine a lot of those tastes are of the more morally objectionable variety.
Of course.
But
and again, there's a lot of really, there's a lot of photographs out there that are of the more morally objectionable variety of thing depicted, and a lot of those tend to be surprisingly popular for some fucking reason.
Well, it's not surprising, given that you know how taboos work in human psychology, Jack. You've studied
I know how
this.
taboos work. I'm just saying, like, I don't even think it's good, like, aesthetically, for the most part.
No, you're right. I've seen that. I've seen what exactly the sort of thing you're talking about, and yeah, it's just I don't understand what people get out of it, but apparently there's enough people who derive something from it that they
some of it is well drawn, but at the same time, it's like, why would you waste our artistic talents on something like that?
Yeah, it's just, it can be difficult to fathom, but I can definitely see what people want out of these things. It's not what I want, and it's probably never going to be something I want, but like, I at least see why it exists, even though I don't agree.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I will, like, there are ways that if I sincerely believed that drugs would increase my productivity, there are probably ways that I could make the money back if I did decide to purchase the drugs, but I don't think that drugs would be a meaningful increase to my productivity, so I'm just not gonna. But yes, I do think it's basically performance enhancers.
Yep.
Sadly, there's no way to for the Hugos to properly test if someone was like on 1,600 kilograms of cocaine while writing their Hugo award-winning work.
I am pretty sure that amount of cocaine would be lethal.
Since when has that ever stopped anyone?
You know I'm not going to answer that, right?
Wait, did I say something controversial by accident?
No. You know I don't have an answer for that.
Okay,
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't have an answer for that. That isn't, like, obviously, or probably not. It's a really easy question to answer. I don't have anything to elaborate on.
Okay, that's fair, yeah. I'm firing lasers now, Jack.
But do you have sharks with frickin' laser beams?
I have a Yeti.
Nope.
It's even a level 2 Yeti. But yeah, I think the creative process is something that I do sometimes resent the fact that I don't have the flavor of autism that allows me to just be endlessly creative. Or just, you know which flavor of mental illness I'm talking about, right? The one that's just like, you just, so I've got a friend who is, oh, and that actually is another topic of conversation I'll get into in a minute, but I have a friend whose partner has apparently just, churned out, like, a 600-page book just in her off time in the last few weeks.
Oh yes, Brandon Sanderson disorder.
Yeah, so I'm just like, well, okay, I wish I had that flavor of mental illness, but I don't.
Same. You know how much I envy the ability of some people to be able to churn out shit at that level that often?
Yeah, and it's just like, it boggles the mind, because I'm just like, how? Why is it that we are both mentally ill, but your mental illness gives you superpowers, and mine gives me crippling depression?
Unfortunately, we cannot pick the mental illness. That wheel is fucking roulette. Ah, so you've gotten past the end game.
Yeah, this is just endless mode. At this point, I'm just gonna see how long it takes until I die. Because this is not a run that can go infinite. I've had runs that go infinite before. This is not one of them. But you know, it's like, we'll see.
So wait, how can you tell if a run can go infinite or not?
I will play, the next character I play will, show you. But, basically, there are runs where, you know how eventually the round ends and the number stops going up?
Uh-huh.
There are runs where that doesn't happen. Where it just, like, the ball just never drops, like, it just keeps going forever. And if it was going to happen in this run, it would have happened already by now, so, it's probably not. In fact, this might be it. Oh, never mind, it just barely leaked out. But yeah, I do want to be more productive. Who doesn't?
Exactly.
But the problem is, with productivity, and this is something I've discovered especially about myself recently. Or, well, I say recently, but it's more just an issue that's obvious in hindsight, but I probably should have realized earlier. I am much worse at working without major external pressure.
Yep.
Even though it's worse for me. And what that means is, I can, like, go into crunch time and forcibly get through, like, do a massive amount of work for school and stuff. But now that school is over for the semester, and I found it almost impossible to, like, properly get into get into writing again. Because I'm just like, oh, there's no external pressure telling me, oh, you have to write now. So I'm just like, well, I guess I'm just gonna lie in bed and wait for death.
That is how it do be sometimes, though.
But yeah, so I'm like, okay, so I need to figure out a way to be productive even when there isn't, like, a school grade deadline breathing down my neck. I did manage somehow, by some miracle of nature and science and humanity, to get roughly straight A's last semester.
Nice.
But it's just, first of all, that had a major toll on my health, reaching that level. But also, I can't seem to reproduce the, like, ability to work that I was reaching. And that's frustrating to me. Because, like, I clearly care more about the writing stuff. But it's just harder for me to do it.
Oh, I get that.
So yeah, I'm basically in this situation with writing now, and I'm already in a relatively privileged position relative to y'all because I don't have a job.
That is the issue, isn't it? Like, the moment you have to deal with like adult responsibilities, like having a job and or taking care of other people and or having to you know, commute and shit, or shop, basically. Like, literally anything and everything can just add the fuck up and deprive you of any and every single ampule of time you have.
And, like, it's, but the issue is that depending on your degree of mental illness, even if you don't have all that stuff weighing you down, you might still not be able to do anything.
Yep.
i.e. myself.
That's the rub, ain't it?
Yeah, because I'm always like, yes, I'm always like very anti-fallacy of relative provision. I don't believe it's like disability is a competition, nor should it be. And
No.
it's like,
Look, Misery Poker is a game with no winners.
yes, but at the same time, one must acknowledge that there are degrees. You know what I'm
C's
saying?
get degrees.
Hmm?
C's get degrees, don't forget that.
Yes, but at the same time, like,
I was just joking.
No, I know. I just, like, I think there is something to be said from that. It's just, like, you know, the best jokes often are rooted somewhat in reality.
Yes.
But, I guess, but basically, what I'm trying to say is that while it's true that it's not a competition, one must acknowledge that intensity of a disability is something that varies from person to person.
Yes.
Not even necessarily in, like, there's no absolute scale, obviously, but more in terms of how negatively does it affect a person's quality of life.
Yep.
And
Look, I had to be nerfed by ADHD, otherwise I would be fucking unstoppable.
I will not...
That's the attitude I am taking, okay? That is like...
no, look, like, live your truth. I'm not gonna yuck your yum or anything. It's just that, for me, honestly, my thoughts are probably similar in that regard. But it's also that I'm like, I acknowledge that I have more issues than maybe the average person, but I also have more privilege, so I'm like, I always like have this weird thing of, should I feel as bad as I am, or should I feel worse, or I don't know. Right?
Suffering is suffering no matter what form it takes.
Well, yes, but you know that societally we have been conditioned to have certain mindsets in that regard. Right? Societal, societal guilt is a real thing that exists.
Yeah, the whole we live in a society type thing, I know.
Well, not even that. It's just that we are conditioned from a very young age to have, like, beliefs that are probably not healthy. What I mean by that is that, oftentimes we are told that, we are... that if you have if your conditions are X, then your feelings should be Y, regardless of any other variables therein.
Yes, the whole thing with that, plus, probably learned helplessness is somewhere in there, I know.
Yeah, but, because, like, basically you're told, well, if you have, like, a place to live and you're putting food on the table, you shouldn't be complaining. Right? That's the mindset I'm talking about. I'm just like, no, there's things to complain about even if your basic human needs are met.
Everyone has the right to complain about situations not being ideal. Like, there's nothing wrong with just not having an ideal environment.
Yeah, and I'm just like, a lot of times people can just forget that. Right? Just because you have, like, a roof over your head and food on the table does not mean your life is problem-free.
Yeah, nah.
We should always be aware that there are people who have it worse, of course, but that doesn't mean you should completely ignore your own problems.
I mean, sometimes conservatives, some conservative people have the opposite problem where it's like a case of, oh yeah, saying that I am privileged means you are shaming me for having this privilege, and you are saying I should feel guilty for this. No one's fucking saying that.
Like the whole thing about it is just be aware of and acknowledge the privilege and know that that you are favored by the way society goes and by the position you were born into. It doesn't mean you are inherently bad for being born into that position. It just means that you should be aware of it and understand that some people are less fortunate than you are. And some people do not seem to understand that.
And again, you should also remember, just because there do exist people who are less fortunate, doesn't mean you should feel that you don't deserve to have, or that you do not have any misfortune.
Exactly. It goes both ways.
Yeah, and that's the element that can be difficult for people to wrap their heads around, oftentimes.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, yeah, so I'm always like, and the thing is, these things are internalized, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just that, other people are telling you this. We have been conditioned to tell ourselves this. And therein lies the problem. So I'm like, well, among my social circle, I'm basically the only one who doesn't have to worry about, like, adulting. But at the same time, does that mean I should, like, never complain about anything?
No.
Because I'm like... Because ultimately, again, this is the thing that we always must emphasize. You have to remember that the point of, like, classifying disability is entirely a quality of life thing. Does it have a tangible negative effect on your quality of life?
And in most cases, the answer to that is yes.
Yeah, and in that case, of course you should, you have the right to be upset. Why wouldn't you?
Of course, then it also wraps around to some people being absolute fuckheads about it and saying shit like, oh, I'm going to be super pitying and condescending to you because you have mental illness. And it's like, you are doing the opposite of what we ask. We just want to be treated as people who have conditions but are still people at our core and are of varying capabilities, just like every other fucking person. Just like... Just because someone is neurodivergent doesn't mean that they are incapable of doing day-to-day adult tasks.
Yeah, I'm kind of like in this place now where I can't, help but keep questioning myself, right? Like, am I complaining too much? Am I not doing all that I could? It's the internal question of, like, asking yourself, hey, am I mentally ill or am I just, like, lazy? Right? Because, like, the answer to that question is almost no. Almost always that, no, you're actually mentally ill. But the problem is that we have been conditioned by society to constantly question that fact.
Plus, society is always all too happy to say, oh yeah, no, you're being lazy, shut the fuck up.
So yeah, it's one of those things where you can never really be comfortable in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And, discomfort is kind of the definition of, like, what mental illness brings, right?
Mm-hmm. Unless you're one of the fuckers lucky enough to get synesthesia. That's the one mental illness that isn't that bad, comparatively. I wouldn't necessarily call that mental illness. Actually, that's more of a condition.
It's more of a condition. But also, like, you could even synesthesia is a dice roll, right? Because like,
True.
you could hear music when listening to colors, but you could also smell rotting garbage when you see the color green.
God, that'd be fucking awful, especially given that green is such a prolific color in nature.
Yeah, so it's just like, well, I guess I'm just gonna stay home until autumn, because every time I go outside, it's like I'm at a garbage dump. If there's any sort of greenery around.
Yep.
Now, granted, I don't know if
Or
that's
just live in the fucking desert.
Yeah, granted, I don't actually know if that's a presentation of synesthesia that can actually happen, but just for the sake of the thought experiment.
I have never done thorough research on synesthesia personally, but yeah.
I mean, part of it is because it's so difficult to research. Because anything that concerns qualia is inherently going to be nigh impossible to quantify, yes. Hence the term, right? Like,
Yeah.
pretty sure that even the term qualia has something to do with that.
Yep.
Because it's qualitative, not quantitative. Okay, this is a tricky... Yeah, you're never going to... be in a position where you can be absolutely sure of synesthesia's presentation in other people, because, like, it's qualia, right? Like, it's one of the most well-established problems in theory of mind is qualia.
Yeah, you get stuff like color blindness, for example, which doesn't usually affect a person's day-to-day life all that much.
Yeah, because, like...
Sure, it affects their ability to discern a couple of colors from one another, but that's about it.
I mean, there have been colorblind artists.
And there's, like, in most of those cases, like, they're still able to do colors. It's just they are unable to discern between a couple of them, and that's it. And they are still able to do a lot of interesting stuff with that. Not to mention, like, they could just fucking draw in black and white. And they can still make some really good grayscale art.
It doesn't even necessarily have to be that it's a grayscale. Sometimes it's just enough that their understanding of color is different enough that even the art that they make with colored paint has a unique look and feel to it that someone without color blindness might not be able to achieve.
True.
But yeah, it's so and that's the thing with a lot of psychological issues, right? Is that it's often an issue of qualia, and qualia by its very nature is difficult to define.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you can define shit like executive dysfunction pretty readily.
Yeah, because it's very much it's not exactly a subjective thing by any stretch of the imagination. It's very much
Yes, my executive functions are dysfunctioning.
So yeah, it's something you can never be fully cognizant of, even if as hard as you try. So the human mind is a mess, is what I'm trying to get at.
I think we know more about space than we know about the human mind.
That's unironically, that is true. We actually probably know more about, like, quantum field theory than we do about the human mind.
Yeah, the human mind is more complex than literally any computer we've ever constructed, so... And it's not about a matter of, like, amount of storage, either. It's a case of, oh yeah, the human mind works in ways that we do not understand, and the amount of variation within the human mind is also something that we still only can barely grasp the surface of.
And we still haven't figured out consciousness.
God.
Right? That's something that should probably, like, weird people out a lot more than it does. The fact that this we literally do not have an understanding of the thing that makes us sapient, sentient beings.
Yeah, we don't know what differentiates us from other animals, as it turns out.
It's clearly something. It's not even that there isn't anything to differentiate us, because we can, like, quantitatively, like, objectively observe that there are meaningful, tangible differences between us. We just don't know why.
Yeah.
That kind of pisses me off sometimes. Like, I get very irrationally upset over, things that should probably not be making me upset.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because it's like, I want to know things. A big part of my identity is enjoying learning about things. And so the fact that there are things that will probably not ever be knowable in my lifetime makes me irrationally upset.
That's just a forward march of time, baby.
Yeah, but I'm not happy about it. Just because I get it doesn't mean I have to like it. But yeah, despite the fact that I can never know all of the things that I wish to know, I will have to live with that. And I'm mad about it. Like, I really dislike the whole, well, that's just life idea. Like, I get that sometimes you do have to just say that, well, it is how it is, but I really dislike the any circumstance that does force people to have to say that. Which again, maybe that's just me being a crazy person, but I just there's certain things that I just can't seem to get over, no matter how hard I try.
That's the mental illness speaking, I'm pretty sure.
Well, yeah, I know that. But knowing that doesn't make it sting any less. So I'm basically just like, well, how do I take advantage of the fact that I am mentally ill? And I think I've recently come to the conclusion that I don't think I can.
There are some things that we can or can't do, and we can't always control that, unfortunately.
And even when you can control it, Sometimes it's a matter of, should you try and control it?
They spent so long thinking about whether or not they could, they didn't think about whether they should.
And the way I look at it from, like, in that sense, where I'm coming from, is that, I'm sure there are things that can be done to, like, improve quality of life in ways that are perhaps less than ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I do joke about the drugses, but apparently a lot of just, individuals with, like, more severe mental illness just do find solace in illicit narcotics, and that's just not something I'm willing or able to do. So I'm just like, well, guess I'm just gonna have to raw dog it then.
Yep, I've been raw dogging it for a decade and a half now, almost.
And also, I should note that I'm referring specifically to illicit narcotics, not like prescribed medication. If you are prescribed medication and it works for you, please take your medicine.
Yes. It did not ultimately work out for me, which is why I no longer take it.
Out of curiosity, if you're comfortable sharing, what is the reason you are stopped taking your ADHD meds?
I had a meltdown when I was a junior in high school because it exacerbated my emotional instability.
Have you not considered revisiting it and, like, maybe trying other medications or formulations? Especially because like, this was in high school, right? Like, when adolescence and puberty were and your hormones were still a thing. So, like, it is possible that there were extenuating circumstances that may no longer exist biologically.
It's possible. I just don't want to fuck with Adderall again.
I mean, yeah, definitely amphetamine-based stuff is volatile. I've been finding success with methylphenidate.
I also need to find a practitioner to actually prescribe to me in that case, anyways. And I'm not comfortable with my current state of my career where I could actually go and do that at the moment.
Yeah, that is one of the caveats, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Who knows? Maybe it would improve my job performance and make my current stage of job stuff easier. But
at a certain point, it becomes a risk not necessarily worth taking. Yeah, I can totally see why.
Not to mention, most ADHD medicines tend to make you a lot more gloomy, from what I remember.
I have not found that in my own personal experience, but, you know, your mileage may vary. That's one of the basic tenets of medication.
Might have just been the Adderall.
Yeah, Adderall is, like, a hell of a drug. There's a reason it's used, like, in actual, like, competitions as a performance enhancer. It is basically just meth.
Yes.
So yeah, I cannot, I can never be the sort of person who's like, do not ever try medication, but I am like, you do definitely need to be, aware that not all medication may be for you, and that it might be something you need to, like, actively experiment with.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a... I mean, a lot of it is, like, a lot of stuff is, you know, it's funny how much, World War II. Obviously, World War II is one of the like greatest human tragedies ever. Like, on a number of levels. But one of the less talked about effects of it is how far back it sent mental health research and psychology research.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a lot of like very like well done and advanced mental health research being done in Germany, and then an Austrian painter decided to was gonna be a dick and make it everyone else's problem.
Mm-hmm. Man, imagine how different history would be if Hitler had just actually gotten into that art school.
So the tragic thing is that it might not have been that different.
Yeah, I know.
Someone would have done it. If he hadn't done it, someone else would have.
Yeah, the issue with people assuming that killing Hitler would have stopped the Holocaust is that
the issue goes a lot deeper than just Hitler. It was an issue of the social moment at the time, and the people who took advantage of it were not only Hitler. There was always going to be some fuckwad coming along and exploiting sentiments against minorities. It just happened to be Hitler exploiting sentiments against the Jews in particular.
But yeah, between that and Reagan, we are basically... That's how we got through it, essentially.
Mm-hmm. I have like 5 different reasons to hate Reagan at this point in my life.
go.
Like, if anyone looked me straight in the face and told me that Reagan was actually a decent president, or even, God forbid, a great one, like, I'd say, ha ha ha, no, fuck you.
And yet he is still, like... He really did set the standard for the level of awful that the Republican Party has held themselves to since then. It's not fun.
No. Honestly, I'd say Nixon was the, was one of the worst ones, but yeah. He still had some things going for him that, Reagan didn't.
I mean, you can make this comparison. If Nixon was Bush, Reagan was Trump.
Mm.
Right? Like, there's a lot of comparability between the two that people don't like to talk about, but it's not like this state of American politics is unprecedented. It's already happened once in the past.
Mm-hmm. The funny thing is, like, while Reagan is generally kind of upper middle of the pack, depending on how historians are rating presidents, which undeserved, in my opinion.
Oh, very much
so. He deserves to be lower, like bottom third at least. Trump is at the fucking bottom, like bottom 5 consistently.
The problem with that, however, is that it is perhaps not fully understanding the issue and the amount of damage that Reagan did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like most of the presidents who like get lumped into the lower rungs of the presidential ranking are like Nixon's like usually lower third, but a bit higher than most of the other like consistently low rankers. And then you get ones like Pierce, Buchanan, who were like the Democrats in charge right before the Civil War happened. William Henry Harrison, who was in office for a month. Andrew Johnson, who came in, who was, Lincoln's vice president when he got assassinated. And fucked up Reconstruction mighty badly. Then you got Harding and Hoover, who were, pretty fucking responsible for the Great Depression, especially Hoover.
Basically, the moral of the story is, when you build a system that incentivizes, politicians to literally do whatever they can to make sure they and their party remain in power forever, you have already failed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the moment a system is built in such a way that being a politician is more important than policy, that's when you've fricked up.
Mm-hmm.
Because in an ideal world, policy reflects the needs of the people, not the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but yes, to get on a slightly less depressing topic, God, it's telling that I can't come up with one. Jack, help me out here.
Let's see. So I'm going to be watching a movie later today.
Ooh, is it, you mentioned it, on Tuesday, I believe.
Yes, Thunderbolts.
Ah, right, yes, because, listen, Tuesday might as well have been, like, 16 years ago.
I know, time is a weird soup. But yes, no, it's gotten good reviews, which definitely makes me more interested in it. Makes me more excited for it, rather.
Hopefully, like, here's the problem with Phase 4 onwards. Endgame was incredibly peak.
It also served as a fitting conclusion, and then the Spider-Man movie after that
as an epilogue,
was a good epilogue, yeah.
So the issue then is that where do you go from there?
I think the main issue has been that there hasn't really been any central characters to gravitate around in Phases 4 onwards.
And again, that is
have been probably Falcon, Loki, and Bucky, maybe, but that's it. Like, no one else has really popped up consistently enough to really have an impact. And even then, Loki and the others only popped up into like 2 or 3 things apiece.
Yeah, so it's kind of just like, welp, what do you do?
An excellent question.
So yeah, it's they do seem to be finding their feet. My question is, do you think it's too late?
Not necessarily. I think that if they can pull off the next few movies, then they are in a good spot. The issue is, like, the next few movies, including Thunderbolts, are going to have to be very good, or at least fairly good, in order to actually regain that momentum. Plus, like, you have Fantastic Four, who have yet to have a legitimately great cinematic outing thus far.
Though, in part, it is, like, the licensing issues have not helped Fantastic Four. The whole thing with, RDJ coming back as Doom is,
That's a can of worms that I'm not going to open up right now.
That's probably for the best. But yeah,
I will
fantastic.
say I do think that RDJ Doom is probably not going to be the main Doom going forward.
Do you know what's funny?
Yes.
The original early 2000s set of... By the way, you were asking how you could potentially go infinite?
Fucking hell.
Yeah, so they put this end button here for a reason.
You're gonna rack up a shit ton of coins.
But yeah, the funniest thing to me about those early, the first set of Fantastic Four movies is that the casting was kind of spot on, maybe with the exception of Jessica Alba.
Yeah. No, you're right there.
So it's kind of just like... And even Jessica Alba wasn't bad, she was just maybe not as, perfectly cast as, everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't, like, Michael Chiklis was great as the Thing, Ian Grufford was great as Mr. Fantastic, and,
Chris Evans was perfect for Johnny Storm.
yeah. So it's just like, well, I get, like, and honestly, I kinda liked, what's-his-face as, Mr. Fantastic and, Doctor Strange Mom.
Oh, shit, what's his name?
No,
John
it's
Krasinski.
The guy from the Thing.
Yeah, John Krasinski.
Yes, I thought it was Krasinski, but I'm never sure, so I just didn't bother guessing.
Yeah,
But yeah.
John Quiet Place.
But yeah, it's just like you never really because of the overall quality of the movies, you never really people never really consider that the casting and the interpretation of the characters that they brought was actually quite solid.
Yeah. The issue was the script being dog shit.
Oh yes. But, like, at the same time, what are you gonna, like, that's just how the industry was at the time. No one really, like, took the idea that a superhero movie could be a good movie seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, there was not really a reason to. Right? Like,
Yeah.
why would you? Oh, come on. How do I lose 3 50-50s in a row?
See, this is why you shouldn't gamble.
But yeah, I cannot ever get over the fact that, the writing was so bad that they didn't even do a basic amount of research and said that 4,000 Kelvin was supernova temperatures.
Mm-hmm.
Even I saw that movie as a child, and even then I was calling BS. It's like
4,000 Kelvin is rookie numbers for supernovas.
4,000 Kelvin isn't even like... The surface of the sun is 6,000.
Exactly.
Like, 4,000 Kelvin isn't even close. So yeah, I I'm sure you can see how I'm quite upset about certain aspects of those movies, but at the same time cannot
At least
deny.
they're not fan four stick.
Look, we don't talk about Fan 4 Stick.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh! Oh, I'm getting... My score is rising into the set... Oh! Oh, this is,
Holy shit.
I'm in the decillions.
That is wild. When are you gonna... Are you just gonna keep letting it run up?
I mean, this is the fastest I've ever seen it run up. Do you know I once... My current high score is like 19.1 undecillion.
Undecillion?
Yes. And that came about because I literally just...
You broke the game, it actually tells you.
Yes, it does. Just say it outright. But, no, it was in the undecillions. And the reason I was like, the reason it got that high was literally because I just left it going. Like, I just kept the game running. I went and, like, went to the bathroom, got a snack. I, like, took the dog out, and then when I came back, it was still going, but it was rising very slowly. Like, usually, like, when you go infinite, there's also degrees to how fast you go infinite. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, here, see my... until a certain point, like, I'm going, like, gaining decillions per pop, but once you get to high enough numbers, that doesn't actually, like, move the bar very much.
Isn't that one item that's just breaking the game in your favor?
No, it's actually the full combo. So basically, I have several items that double things, and you know how exponential doubling works.
Oh, yeah. That fucking shit racks up fast.
So I've got several items that do exponential things. Oh, this is gonna make it go even harder. But then I have several items that trigger when I pop pegs, and then I have more items that do things when those items trigger, and basically that's how you go infinite, is just you... It's like, you can't really go infinite with any one item. You kinda have to build a combo, but once the combo's been built, it's trivial to sustain.
Mm.
So yeah, probably once I'm gonna continue this run and... Oh! Okay, never mind. I thought I was actually gonna lose that. But, that's just because it hadn't, the doubling hadn't caught up yet. But yeah, like... Oh, I might actually lose this one. Huh. Oh, never mind. Sorry, I'm committing the, cardinal sin of, Twitch streaming and talking about the game. Though I've realized something, by the way.
Yeah?
I am perhaps, how should I put this? I am... My standards for streaming were perhaps a bit too high, in the sense that I was basing my, like, golden standard for streaming on something that is perhaps not realistic, because I was basing it on someone who has literally been doing it for a decade or more.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, maybe holding us to too high a standard. Like, I was expecting us to have, like, a professional level of yapping when we are, in fact, not professional yappers.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do think it is something to aspire to.
Yes.
I don't know, Jack, I know me and Mill have, talked about this at length. How do you feel about streaming?
I like streaming. It's a nice, kind of thing to, it's nice to be able to shoot the shit and play games for or play games for an audience.
Well,
Or sometimes it's just a nice way to catch up with friends.
yes, I was gonna say, audience is not really a consideration we really have, is it?
Mm-hmm.
But, no, I'm like, I do believe it would be nice to have an audience, though. So I am constantly thinking about how we might go about doing that.
It's very difficult.
I mean, like, I've done research into this, and beyond all of the, sort of, self-help people who just, parrot the same old, self-help arguments,
Mm-hmm.
I've come to a single realization. There are two ways to gain an audience as a streamer. Well, technically
Yeah.
3, but one of them requires a time machine. One of them
Yeah,
was
let's
to just...
exclude that one.
Huh?
Let's exclude that time travel one.
Yeah, because that one is just you get in early, right? Like, if you'd gotten in early in, like, the early days of, like, Twitch and or YouTube, then you could have done something. But, in the modern day, there's two ways. Nepotism and sheer dumb luck.
Yep.
That's it. Those are the two ways. And by nepotism, I mean you need to already know someone who is a streamer. Like, with an audience. And then piggyback off of their audience. And by the sheer dumb luck part is self-explanatory. You just, like, get discovered by a couple of people by accident often enough that you are just, like... You end up, with a small dedicated audience that spreads by word of mouth, and eventually you have, like, people who enjoy watching you just whenever.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, like, because I do want to stream to an audience, obviously, who doesn't? It's just one of those things where it's like, you can't really control it, but if it has ever come up, there are some fun things we can do. Yeah, for me, it's always been like, I think, for me, I've come to the realization that, self-employment is kind of the
It's
only...
kind of a crapshoot.
Well, no, I mean, in my case, I think it's kind of my only option. Because the way my mental illness presents is, and the way that my disability, manifests is such that it's going to be very difficult and or unlikely for me to hold down, like, a quote-unquote normal job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, some people are just not built for a standard job, as it were.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I guess I'll try? because obviously you gotta try, but I think, like, some form of self-employment, like, writing or streaming are kind of the only things that I can probably use to sustain my livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always worrying about that, mainly because it's not an issue now, because we've got a family business sort of thing going, and it's, like, not really going anywhere anytime soon, and my parents are still actively working and perfectly willing to support me, because they also understand that I'm not really capable of supporting myself in any meaningful way. But parents are getting older, economy's getting more unstable. Like,
It's just a rough time.
yeah, so
in general.
it's just like, well, what are we gonna do? Like, I have to, like, it's one of those things where I get, it's the double-edged sword of pessimism, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, on the one hand, yeah, pessimism isn't great. But the issue is that oftentimes pessimism is, like, a necessary evil. Because you do sometimes have to think about the worst-case scenario. Or at least you have to think about scenarios that are not great. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even if you'd prefer not to. Like, I've often... So my parents are that type of people, where they're like, they don't really like to think about, like, the negative scenarios until and unless they're, like, happening right in front of them. You know what I'm saying? But...
I think so.
But at the same time, that has caused problems in the past, because a scenario that they really should have considered comes up. Again, I'm guilty of this as well, right? Like, sometimes you just don't want to think about the bad stuff, but then the bad stuff happens, and you're like, well, I probably should, in hindsight, I should have thought about this more.
Mm-hmm.
Hindsight being 2020 and all that.
It is, in fact, 2020, unfortunately. Yeah, I think it, not sure who posted it, off the top of my head, but, it was kind of, the whole thing about, the timeline of the past decade and a half.
Yeah. Yeah. The plague didn't exactly help things, did it?
No, COVID just absolutely fucked literally everything. In
You know
some of the most annoying ways possible.
You know what's funny? The plague is also one of those things that, in hindsight, should have occurred to more people.
I mean, it should have occurred to more people, but also we should have been able to stamp it out. Unfortunately, we had a bunch of dipshits in charge at the time. Who for some reason still got elected back into fucking power. What the fuck?
Now that makes perfect sense to me. I wish it didn't, but it does make perfect sense to me. Because, again, never underestimate the raw, unfettered potential of human stupidity.
Mm-hmm.
And and I was speaking to someone about this. I won't name any names or what the general topic was, but I was actually talking to someone about someone brought up Hanlon's razor.
Mm-hmm.
You know the one, right? The
Never assume maliciousness when stupidity will explain it.
But I was talking to someone who brought up a very good point. There comes a certain level of stupidity where or ignorance specifically, where it becomes indistinguishable from malice. Like, there is a certain level of willful ignorance where it no longer matters that it's not malicious, because its effects are identical to maliciousness anyway. So it's like, yeah, you do have to consider that while Hanlon's razor is a good rule of thumb, that doesn't necessarily mean it's always applicable, because there comes a point where malice and ignorance are indistinguishable from each other.
Yep. Oh god, yeah. It's just a cavalcade of fuckery, basically.
So yeah, it's just like, what do you do? Like, when you come across someone who is just doing, like, something that can be excused, like, technically is not out of malice, but the effects are malicious.
There's not much you can do. Not if you have no, like, authority over the situation.
Well, no, I just mean, like, in, like, terms of, like, in your social life or relationships, right? Like... Like, what do you do if someone in your social circle isn't a bad person, per se, but are allowing their, ignorance to control them in such a way that it becomes irrelevant whether or not they're a bad person?
That's a good question. I mean, it's possible to talk with them about it.
Yeah, but, like, talking to people is scary. Have you considered that?
I have considered it, but sometimes resolving issues requires communication.
But what if, instead of communicating, I simply avoided the issue and hoped for the best?
Oh, see, that's not going to solve anything.
Yeah, and the fact that it won't solve anything pisses me off. Which is, like, a lot of things do that, I'm realizing.
Ease with an ease.
I also...
You're just gonna keep breaking the game until you finish it, aren't you?
Well, I'm not... No, I'm just gonna, like, keep doing this until the stream ends, and then I'm just gonna, like, let it run and see how long it takes for my computer to crash.
Oh, it can actually crash your computer?
In theory it should be able to. I'm not sure if it actually will, but in theory it is possible. Well, I think the game will crash before, like, I think Windows will, or Steam will force shut down the game before it actually crashes the computer, but in theory the numbers can get high enough to create a, like, an overflow or something. It's also possible it'll go so high that it'll go so high that it'll overflow into negatives, and that'll actually cause me to lose the run.
God, I'm losing a run because of a fucking overflow error.
I mean, that is one of the great goals of any game, is to break it so hard that you stack overflow and end up at either 0 or negative numbers.
I mean, overflow error is why Gandhi is so nuke happy in Civ.
I have heard recently that that is something of an urban legend. But it's one of those things where I'd be happier if it's not an urban legend. Because it's more
I mean,
funny if it's true than if it's not.
yeah.
What were you saying?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does, like, because of the memes, he does act, incredibly aggressively. Your number's going down. Oh, now it's coming back up.
Yeah, so I've got an item that, forces items to trigger, but it, decreases my score every time it activates. But eventually, so that does take the number down, but eventually it gets to a point where your score is increasing so fast that even the item that decreases your score doesn't do anything anymore.
Yep. Sounds about right.
But yeah, I do find it frustrating at times when there's like people who are otherwise reasonable having just whack opinions or takes. Because it's like sometimes it also comes down to like you try to talk to them, but you can see the writing on the wall as well.
Yep. Sometimes a doomed relationship is just that, a doomed relationship.
Oh, also, I was talking to someone about this earlier or yesterday. Is that Jack? Do you have examples of a time where you faced social issues because of a social circle in which the resident neurotypicals were just not compatible with your flavor of neurodivergence? Would you like to tell some? Would you like to swap war stories, as it were?
I'd rather not discuss it.
I mean, I can say mine, and then you can see if it's, and then we can talk about it off stream if you want, or if you don't want to. But I'll say mine. So at one point in my life, I did have a friend group that consisted of two people who were very neurodivergent, shall we say. I'm sure you can sort of derive what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Those two people who were very neurodivergent, and then one person who was on the neurotypical end of neurodivergence, if that makes sense.
So let's flagrantly neurodivergent, basically.
What?
So let's flagrantly neurodivergent, basically.
Yeah, so someone who is like someone who can pass, essentially.
Yes.
And then you had the neurotypical member of that friend group. Oh, I ended it too early and accidentally lost a life.
Oops.
But no, so in that group, I have come to a realization. Neurotypicals seem to have varying flavors of neurodivergence that they are compatible with. And that, in hindsight, that social circle made me realize it, because the neurotypical individual there was compatible with the flavors of neurodivergence that the two very neurodivergent people in the group had. Those two people were of two different flavors of neurodivergence from each other, and also a different flavor from me. And what ended up... Huh?
Mess. That does sound like a bit of a mess.
Yeah, and what ended up happening there is that, they ended up, like, not liking me at all. So for one of the examples they gave was, you know the thing where someone brings something up and you tell a story where something similar happened to you because as a way of showing that you relate to them, right? You know that thing.
Yeah. Yes.
And how that pisses some neurotypicals off.
Yeah.
That was my first experience with a neurotypical who did get pissed off by that. And I was told to my face, well, I don't like that you make things about... you have to make everything about you. And I'm just like, no, that's not what I'm doing. In fact, I'm specifically trying to avoid that by telling this story. I'm trying to say, oh yes, I understand, empathize, and relate with you. For this reason.
Yeah, that happened a few times where it's like, I'm trying to connect with you and relate to you on this. Please do not take this as me being arrogant or an asshole.
Or just trying to make the conversation about myself, which is the thing that apparently comes up quite often.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you just accidentally do a social faux pas and you get fucking shit by the friend group because you made this faux pas and they don't understand like what you're actually were trying to say.
Yeah, so you kind of just have to like live with it after a certain point, and I don't like that.
Yeah, no, it sucks.
Okay, we have been going.
We still have about 20 minutes left.
We've got about 20 minutes left, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put up our overlay and like do a little pivot. And this is something I've actually considered doing for a while, in which I'm just gonna mute this, and we're gonna do a little side pivot to some dulls.
Dulls?
So you know how Wordle is a global phenomenon?
Yes.
That has actually led to a proliferation of similar things.
Oh, so this is kind of like a riff on Wordle then, huh?
Yeah, so let me see how I can do this. Because I'm gonna... This is the first time I'm actually trying this, so bear with me, people.
There's a bear with you? What?
No. Just not in any meaning of the word.
Damn. That'd be awesome.
Well, depending on the type of bear, that's not really what I'm into.
Yes. Also, I mean, depending on the type of bear, bears can, I'm talking about this, the type of animal. Love that, have to clarify. No, but, like, some bears are actually, decently companionable with humans in the right circumstances. Like, a black bear, more or less chill as long as you don't, you know, provoke it in any way. And it's not, like, super hungry. Black bears can be, no, brown bears, rather, can be, negotiated with. Well, not negotiated with, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
They can be interacted with and driven off if need be. If you see a polar bear out in the wild, you are fucking dead.
More or less, yeah. So, here's what we're gonna do. We are... Let me see if I can, do this. I'm gonna do a window capture real quick. I'm gonna select a window. Pokidoku. Okay. So, I'm also going to pivot to streaming this on Discord.
Dope.
Change stream to this. And now you are actually going to help me, and we're going to do this together.
We're all in this together. Yes, we are.
So the first thing we're gonna do is Pokidoku.
Say what now?
Oh, let me just. Oh, that is not how that screen should go. Let's fit to screen. There you go. Right. Can you check the stream to see if it's showing up satisfactorily?
It is on stream, yes.
Okay. So, this is Pokidoku. It's like Sudoku, but Pokemon. And what we have to do is the goal is to pick the least common answer among these categories.
Okay. So I know rock fossil is the most common, so we're not going to do that.
No, I mean like you have to pick all of them, but in each category you should try and pick the Pokemon that is the lowest percentage. Like among the rock fossils, some of them are going to be more common than others. You get what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
water ground. My first thought is Swampert, but that's a starter.
Yes.
Everyone's gonna pick the starter.
Yes.
So the idea is to pick a water ground Pokemon that is not the starter, that is a bit less common.
Okay.
So for example, when I think water ground Pokemon, I think Whiscash.
Whiscash is a good example, yes.
And if you
The
think
other one I was thinking of was the fucking slug ones from
that
Gen
might
4.
have actually, I don't know if that would have been a higher or lower percentage. So you can see 12.9, that's our score. That means 12.9% of the people who have made this guess picked Whiscash.
Yes.
I don't know if that's low or high yet. We'll only know that at the end. Ground Dragon, for example.
So there's two that'll be the obvious go-to answers in Flygon and Garchomp.
Yes.
Are there any other ground dragon types of note?
I actually don't know. There's probably one in later generations that
Let's look.
hang on, I'm gonna. There's a. Oh, I don't know how to do this. Huh.
So it's literally just Zygarde.
Okay, no, look, Googling it is just rude. Don't be a Googling Gary.
Yeah.
For that, okay, just for that, I think we should go Garchomp just to keep the run. You know what? We could go Garchomp Mega, see if that's less. Okay, so people seem to have chosen base Garchomp and not Garchomp Mega specifically.
Yeah, because a lot of people won't think of Mega Garchomp.
Okay, so that's what we're trying to do. So Rock Ground.
Rock Ground is an absurdly common type.
Yeah, so Onyx, your Golems, your Gravelers, Geodude.
Geodudes. Let's go with Rhyhorn.
Okay, that is a Rock Ground evolutionary line. Which of those three do you think, Rhyhorn, Rhydon, or Rhyperior, are going to be less common?
Rhyhorn.
Okay. Because, like, all three of them could work, and you were probably correct. So, water fossils.
There aren't a lot of those.
I think...
On our collection.
Were the Gen 3... No, because Cradilly was, like, rock...
Grass.
Rock grass, not rock water.
Rock water?
Oh, the obvious answer is probably, like, aren't Ammonite and Amistar?
Yes.
But they're the obvious answer, because they're Gen 1, everyone knows the Gen 1 fossils.
Yeah. I'm gonna be real with you, I know very few Pokemon from past Gen 5. From Gen 5
Do you remember what the Gen 2 fossils were?
I don't, actually. I don't know if Gen 2 had fossils.
No, every Gen has fossils, I just don't remember what the ones were in Gen 2. Huh. Let's not look it up until the end, but, huh. That's weird.
I think I might be stuck with Amistar or Ammonite then.
Yeah, which one do you think is less common?
Probably the first stage.
The first stage is cuter. Look at him, he's just a little guy.
Yeah, but in my experience, people tend to pick the more evolved stage whenever they can.
So, I actually do know that fossil dragons are relatively uncommon. It's the
There's usually
it's basic. I think it's just Dracozolt and Dracovish, actually.
yeah. I was gonna say I can't think. There's only like 2 or 3 dragon. There's only 2 or 3 fossils per generation, and I don't recall anything in the first 4 generations being a dragon fossil.
Yeah, these are the Gen 5 fossils, I think.
Hmm.
Or Gen 6, I don't know. I also kind of lose track after Gen 4, really. Yeah, that was one of the more common picks we could have gone for. And rock fossil, literally all of the fossils have rock type, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
So
Let's go with one of the more obscure ones. Let's go with one of the Gen 4 ones.
What were the Gen 4 fossils? Do you remember?
Fuck. One was the Pachycephalosaurus, and the other one was the Triceratops one.
Right. Shieldon and,
Let's go with Shielder.
is that even a Pokemon?
No. Shieldon is right.
Oh, Bastiodon is the evolved form.
Yeah, let's go with Shieldon.
Okay, 3%.
Hell yeah.
Okay, encoding is overloaded. Let me see. I think I might have to... I'll figure that out next time. Right, so water legendary.
There aren't that many. At least not in the first 4 gens. Kyogre is the obvious one.
Yeah, so... Manaphy?
Lugia, I believe, is also...
Right, Lugia is a water flying, isn't it? I
Yeah.
think Lugia... I think a lot of people just don't associate Lugia with water. Wait, is it water flying or is it dragon flying?
No, Lugia is not dragon type.
Yeah, so I think that might be our pick, because not a lot of people associate... Oh! We were wrong. It's not a water type.
Okay, then. Fuck. Oh, it might be psychic flying.
It might be, yeah.
I always mix up Lugia's types. Okay, fuck. Whatchamacallit,
Legendary dragons?
All the lake trio are also...
They're all... Oh, yeah, the lake trio are all water. We should have thought of that.
No, aren't they pure psychics?
I think a lot... They're water psychics, but I could be wrong. Okay, but legendary dragons... I do have a thought.
Yeah.
What if we go with Giratina origin form?
Go for it.
Because I imagine, like, with Pokemons with multiple forms, people tend to go with the default form.
Yep.
And then this is Legendary Rock.
Regirock is the obvious one, so let's not do that one.
Yeah. I feel like that's also a less common typing, isn't it?
Yeah, no, you do not... Most legendaries, if they have a common typing, it's probably Dragon.
Dragon or Psychic. A lot of legendaries are Psychic types.
Yeah.
So... If we're considering...
Maybe Arceus Rock?
You know what? It's kind of cheating, but... or do they even have that?
They might not.
Oh, they might not... Yeah, they don't actually include... Yeah, because that would make it too easy, wouldn't it?
That'd be
a free... That would be a freebie.
Yeah. Damn.
Like, none of the Gen 2 legendaries are rock. None of the Gen 1 legendaries are rock.
I mean, there's only a handful of Gen 1 legendaries anyways. Gen 3 is when we actually started getting a substantial number of legendaries, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Gen 4. Gen 4 had, like, Regigigas, Dialga Palkia, those guys. Lake Guardians.
Was Heatran part rock or was it part steel?
Heatran might be fire rock. I also don't remember if Heatran is considered a legendary. Because it can breed. Okay, yeah, it's not considered a legendary. Oh noes. We have made Pikachu sad.
How did we do?
Let's see. So... Our average score... Our score... We got 8, so that's fine. Let's see, in terms of percentages... So yeah, Quagsire was the most common, Flygon was the most common, Golem was the most common, Tyrantrum was the most common. I forgot that.
Aerodactyl was obvious.
Right, because, yes, the Gen 4 fossils were... Let's look at least common. Okay, so Zygarde 50% was the least common. Wooper was the least common. Okay, I should have gone with Dracovish. For both of the... it would have been better for the water fossil, even. Ironically. Urshifu! Urshifu is a water type that no one thinks of.
Yeah.
And, we should have gone with Bastiodon instead of Shieldon.
Yeah, also, the fuck is an Ogerpon?
Gen 8 or 9, I think. Oh, there's literally only 3 legendary rock types.
Damn.
Regirock, Terrakion, and Ogerpon. Huh.
What about legendary water types? How many of those are there?
Quite a few, actually. The Island Guardians we should have considered.
Palkia as well was obvious. So same with both versions of Kyogre and of course Suicune.
Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say no. Palkia, Kyogre, and Suicune were the obvious picks. So
yeah. Okay, next one. Guess the game. Basically, we will be given a series of images. Each one is getting closer and closer to like an obvious guess, and we have to guess what the game is based on that. I'm gonna be real with y'all. This is a very SNES skyline, or an NES skyline. Do you know what I think when I see the skyline?
Super unfamiliar with a lot of those types of games.
I think this looks like Duck Hunt to me.
Fuck, you're right.
Let's try that. We do get hints. No, not Duck Dynasty. Duck Hunt. Okay.
Nope.
It's not, but we're definitely on the right track. Look at this. This is SNES, 16-bit. Metacritic score not rated. So it's an older game. Just name any SNES game you can think of, just so we know we're on the right track.
I know nothing about SNES games, Fuzzy.
Platformers, then?
Metroid?
You know what? Yeah, we can... There's Metroid Fusion. We can try that. Oh, this is a Mario.
Super Mario Bros. Then
it's an original NES. Which of the original Marios had climbing vines?
I don't remember.
Is this a Mario? No, because Mario never climbs. But I think we'll have to like.
No.
Super Mario. Okay. It might. Oh, it is a Metroid. This might just be Metroid.
Oh, gee, yeah.
It's DuckTales. Okay. Okay.
Question is, which DuckTales?
The original DuckTales. I think that... Yeah, okay. We got it. Okay, so... Yes, we did need the obvious gimme. Okay, then let's go to Gamedel, which is similar.
I think we can wrap up with this one.
Oh, if we're gonna wrap up, then... Oh, well, this is just Oblivion Remastered, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, no, if we're gonna wrap up, then I know what to wrap up with. Yeah, okay, that was obvious.
Okay.
What we're gonna wrap up with is Bandle. Guess the song, and this is copyright proof because they altered the stuff, but basically, it's gonna play a tune, and we're gonna have to guess one instrument at a time what we think the song is. So, let me know if you can hear this properly.
I recognize the song, yes.
Yeah. Any guesses?
I'm blanking on a name right now.
Can you think of it like a band or a genre?
I think it's punk rock. Could be misremembering, though.
Okay, let's just skip to the next one, then. Oh, I know this song!
Yeah, I know the song, I'm just having trouble naming it.
God, it's on the tip of my tongue, right? Like...
Right?
You can hear it, but it's like, okay, let's... we're going to be very upset when we don't get it.
Yes. Of course, difficulty very hard.
Okay, that tracks. Par 5, okay. I know this song!
I know this song too! Why can't I name it?
This is upsetting me.
Yeah. I'm distressed right now.
Let's skip to the voice cover, the KK Slider voice cover. There's a never in it.
Fuck.
What is this?
Get a clue.
This is the life? Is that it? This is the existence?
Maybe.
Yeah, okay.
God.
Yeah, I've heard this song on the radio so often. But yes, those are just a little daily thing I think would be fun to do on occasion. Because, you know, it's just like, it's a fun little thing you can do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that will be us for today. Thank you everyone for joining us on this like little impromptu sort of duo stream where we just like had a chat. Mill does deserve a day off on occasion, so you can expect actually to see some more Jack and Fuzzy duo streams in the future. So, thank you everyone for joining us. Please, if you're watching this on Twitch, give us a follow, and if you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and leave a comment if you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Later.